going on, guys? In this episode of the Bodies in Business podcast, I'm going to talk about why it's super important to understand your customers' goals in order for your company to reach its goals. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine this weekend, and we were talking about how we can best help grow a certain community and build it with people that this guy really wants to build it with. So I'm not trying to use names or certain companies because I don't want to put anything out there that I shouldn't be putting out there. But basically, I'll give you the scenario. This person started a community and people are coming to that community to go for a walk, okay? And it's all about walking. And in this community, he's getting customers. He's not necessarily getting the customers that he wants. He's wanting customers that can give him an opportunity to work with their companies. But he's getting customers that are looking for a job. Okay, so those are two totally different things. And it's in the same organization, but it's funny because he wants basically higher level customers so that he can make money from those higher level customers. He wants to bring them together so that he can provide a service for them and their companies. But what he's getting is he's getting lower level customers that are actually just looking for a job in his community. And so it was interesting because the conversation that we had was like, hey, I'm not getting the people that I really want to come to this organization that I really want, but you are getting people. And so that was the kind of the conversation we were having is like, okay, you're not getting necessarily the people that you want to come to the meeting, but what can we do with the people that are coming to the meetups? And that was the thing that I think is super important is when we set out and we start a business or we start a group or something, we don't necessarily who's going to really want to come into that ecosystem. And you start to learn a lot about who those people are when you get them to come in the ecosystem because you don't necessarily know exactly who's going to be there. So what I told this person was he has to understand exactly what the people that are coming into the ecosystem, what they want, so that he can capitalize and actually get the people that want to come to his walking group. So I'll give you the example I was like, okay, if you're getting people that are needing a job, that are looking for a job, that are out of work, and you get enough of those people, maybe the higher level people would want to come to your group to talk to those lower level people and see if one of them is a good fit for a job that they're having opening. So it's like, hey, you want to go up and top down. So that's one thing that I thought was really interesting. I was just like thinking of it myself from a health and wellness standpoint. I can work with teachers one-on-one from the low level so that I get enough of those people that maybe at that school or that company or something that the company level or the head of school or the HR department would want to say like, oh, we want to bring this person to the school. So it's going from the bottom up on the lowest level, individual basis, and then hopefully bringing that top down that an organization level would be like, hey, we want to bring you on. So that's it. This is super interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, like working with like just one person isn't going to help me. But that's not true if that one person turns into 2, 3, 25, 50 people, because then you go, okay, I want to be able to get momentum. And it's really hard to go after really big objectives if you haven't built that trust on the bottom level to be able to point to, hey, I've worked with 100 faculty and staff members in schools, because you're not going to get a really big contract to begin with. And if you do, you need to capitalize on that, and that would be helpful. But I really do believe that it's helpful to go from a bottom-up approach and then a top-down approach as well, because you never know which one's going to help you out the most, right? And what I'll say is, like, fortunately for me, I got a school or, a big private school to bring me on board and to use my services, but I still work with people one-on-one because I see that as my foot in the door to certain other organizations and certain ways to maybe go from the bottom up. So it's very interesting. I wouldn't count out going from either way. Once you hit a certain threshold, I feel like, of working with companies, let's say I start working with like 30 independent schools. I probably would be able to use that proof of concept to say, hey, I can just go straight to the HR director or the head of school and say, hey, I've worked with these 30 schools, you guys should work with me. But if I'm only working with one school and other schools aren't wanting to work with me, then I can go, okay, I need to start working with like individual teachers specifically to prove out what I'm doing is really helpful. And I know that's tough. That's like a longer road. You want those big contracts to be like, hey, we want you to work with all 150 of our faculty and staff members, and that's a big contract. But in order to get there, you have to prove out what you do is super helpful. That's it. I wanted to just say, like, you don't always get the customers that you're really, really wanting to serve all the time, but there are certain ways that you can get around to say, okay, if I'm not getting the customer I want specifically right now, because the customer I want can pay really, really big, I gotta work with the people that are lower level that can pay me a little bit, but I can still get data from and work with. So that's all I got, guys. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. If that's not helpful, also let me know, and I'll talk about other things. So thank you so much. Get after it.